I proudly come on stage today with my brand new crisp bag because I'm a fan. I've been sitting in the audience all morning and I am inspired from all the lessons I'm learning from all the other previous speakers. And I also had a couple things in here that I wanted to bring with me on stage. One of which is my book, Change Starts Now, with 100 lessons. And before I share a couple of the lessons with you today, I wanted, and before we go to what you saw on the cover, first slide, Bali, the dreamy Bali, where my story as a 12-year-old changemaker began, I thought I'd bring us into the room and take a moment. So if I could ask for the lights to come back on, please. So I can see you, because I'm one of those speakers that needs to thrive off the energy of the room. So on the count of 3, I'd like everybody, first and foremost, to sit up as straight as you can be, in those comfortable, beautiful theater chairs. All right, and roll your shoulders back. On the count of 3, let's take a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, take a deep breath in, and out. And another deep breath in and out. I like to do this on any stage that I'm on, whether it's on the red circle of TED at the United Nations or right here at BID with all of you, because it's a strong reminder that 70% of the oxygen we breathe comes from the ocean. So it doesn't really matter where you are, whether you're on the island of Bali or here in Scheveningen, we are connected to the ocean. And that's the first lesson that I'd like to share with you today. Because when we talk about dreaming big or creating change in our world, we must understand first and foremost that we are nature. Every second breath comes from the ocean. And so I learned this very early on, this very first lesson, because I grew up on the island of Bali, this picture-perfect paradise, this wonderland full of culture and magical myths, beautiful, pristine beaches, Bali, the island of gods, or Bali, the island of garbage. Lesson number 2, very simple, ask questions, and ask many, because if we dare to dream, it starts with questioning. It starts with the curiosity and the wonder. And at 10 and 12 years old, my sister and I had to ask one very simple question. Which Bali did we want? And you can guess, we chose this one. And so, without further words, I wanted to bring up a video that shares a little bit about what that energy looks like at 10 and 12 years old, 12 years ago now. Oh. Could we play this video? Hope it works, because it's cuter than I am today. Let's see, if it doesn't. Well, you can kind of see the ambiance. I'll paint the picture for you. My sister and I, at 10 and 12 years old, on our first day of the mission on the beaches of Bali, marching with our signs on the beach. And we have one simple question. We say, time is running out. As we are growing older, the pollution of plastic is getting bigger and bigger. So where are you? What are we going to do right now? And that question, as simple as it is, started our journey of Bye Bye Plastic Bags, which is the name of the organization we started 12 years ago. And now my clicker doesn't click to the next slide. Here we are. Without a business plan, without a strategy, but with one clear idea. And if we know one thing from BID is having one idea, one contact, and one action can change the world. And so my sister and I started Bye Bye Plastic Bags, rallying a team of young people all around the world, but starting on our home island of Bali. We hosted campaigns and cleanups, but very quickly, we rallied the support of many different like-minded organizations. Today, Bali finally has a law on single-use plastic bags, straws, and styrofoam. So yes, we did it. We showed that people power can be more powerful than the people in power. It's a bit of a tongue twister there, but it shows collaboration. One of the things that I was so happy to hear about on stage this morning, the power of collaboration and people coming together. And it didn't only stay on the island of Bali. You see, what I love the most about my story, with over a decade on the front lines of creating change, from 12 years old to 24 today, is that what we have created with Bye Bye Plastic Bags is that we've become a living example that kids can do things. You see, one thing that students saw when they were scrolling on Instagram or found us on YouTube and saw these videos, they saw role models. They saw, if they can do it, I can do it too. And that's the power of access to stories. It's the power of access to role models. And suddenly, Bye Bye Plastic Bags became a global movement where young people everywhere started to stand up to single-use plastic bags. One very simple, clear idea turned into a global movement, with the contacts and the networks of every 12-year-old to 15-year-old taking it and turning it into an action. And Bye Bye Plastic Bags today has now evolved into my new passion, Youthtopia. You see, I've spoken to over 1 million students all around the world. I think it's now almost 2 million, to be very honest. And 30+ countries. It didn't matter anymore where I was, in which classroom. I would always get the same question over and over again. After sharing what we had accomplished with Bye Bye Plastic Bags, students would always ask, Melati, how can I create change? Where do I start? And that is what Youthtopia is all about. Those questions are what we try and answer through our free learning platform, where we work together with over 300 changemakers between the ages of 12 and 25 years old. And they all have their own track record of change. Now, I'm part of a generation, I'll touch on them in a moment, but I'm part of a generation that knows that the time that we're living in requires change. Business as usual will no longer work. But how do we inspire that change? How do we create an empowered generation? I'm a strong believer that change can start in the classroom. That's even more why I was so honored yesterday to meet some of the teachers of the year, because can we give a round of applause to teachers, please? I'm telling you, the real life superheroes. I wouldn't be who I am today without my teachers. Because it sparks a space in the classrooms to share and develop the skills we need to be actively involved in creating a better world. Now, time is also ticking. It's what the cute video I was going to share with you was saying. Time is ticking. Where are you? What are we going to do to create action? There is a roadmap. And these are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Now, the clock says that we must achieve these 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which were created in 2015 by the United Nations, by the year 2030. Now, a quick show of hands, please. Hands up if you think, yes, we're going to reach them by 2030. All right, take a good look around the room. And then hands up if you think, now, Melati, there is a lot, and I mean a lot of work to do. Okay, you are right. But this is where I wanted to touch on again with the power of Youthtopia and the role models that exist. Because I'm someone that is optimistic. I'm someone that holds and believes that we actively have to search for hope. And I'm very lucky that my everyday job with this learning platform and this community of changemakers, I'm reminded of day in, day out. Let me introduce you to some of these changemakers. But first, a quick exercise on how many changemakers you know. Hands up. Who knows the changemaker Greta Thunberg? Up high so I can see it on stage. Okay, and here maybe another changemaker in the Netherlands, Hannah Prince. All right, Mert Kumru. What about Nesha Ichida? And how about Mohamed Al-Junde? What about Memory Banda? And the room goes quiet. But this is exactly it. How do we become, how do we create, how do we inspire a movement, an empowered generation, if we do not have access to these stories? Now let me introduce you to some of them. Nesha Ichida is a name I just shared. She is an Indonesian changemaker who spends more time in the ocean than on land. Now let me explain. She is obsessed with sharks, and she works with a project, the world's first ever shark nursery, where her job is really to make sure that our marine life is protected. Mohammed al-Junde, a Syrian refugee who at 12 years old had to flee his home country, arriving in Lebanon, and as any 12-year-old, enrolled himself into school. Now, the education system said no, because you're a refugee. Instead of waiting for his days to grow longer, he created and set up a school in the refugee camps. Today, 600 kids use that as a safe place, not only to learn, but to build community. And all of these change makers I'm sharing have a Youthtopia program that shares how they were able to do what they did. Because it's not magic, it's not luck, it's not special, it's something that we should create access to where every single person feels empowered to be a change maker. Because we need everybody. When we talk about change, it is not up to the young, inspiring generation like what I just shared with you. It's not only up to the government in those United Nations conference rooms and another COP29 or another COP30 for those changes to happen. It's not only up to one business leader or one company to create change. No. Something I'm really happy, again, that we hear at BID is the power of the collective. But what does that really mean in today's world where we've created a culture that thrives on competition instead of collaboration? Where we've created a story of I instead of we. These are things that we have lessons for. But this fundamental cultural DNA needs to be unlearned. And we have to go back to a simple principle that I would like to share with you from my home island of Bali, called Trihita Karana. And this is living in harmony with nature, the people around you, and the awareness of within. And this is creating a balance and a harmony of imagine the world we would live in. I would like to read something from my book, and I'm officially 7 days a published author, so you're one of the first few people to hear me give a reading. But I'd like to end today's presentation with chapter 10, and chapter 10 is an invitation to the world. It starts with a poem. What if it all works out, even better than we had all hoped and planned? So much better than we could have even ever dreamed. What if the forests grow back and the rivers flow full and the bees and the rhinos, lizards and polar bears all come back? And Earth was once home again to all living species. What if it all works out, even better than we had all hoped and planned? So much better than we could have ever even dreamed. Close your eyes and visualize the world you want. What does it look like? I was in a workshop and the lead facilitator was guiding us through an exercise where we had to imagine the world we want. You can come up with anything. The wildest dreams come true here. Afterwards, we opened our eyes and had to write it all down. The more detailed, the better. My world has lots of big trees, fresh, clean rivers, butterflies, and bees. I saw beautiful sunshine powering our buildings with light, gardens everywhere, providing with everyone with fresh food. Community-led action was at the center of every decision, and young people, of course, were actively involved. The point of this exercise was that if we can't imagine a better system, a better world, how are we supposed to create one? It's hard to work towards something if you cannot see, feel, or touch. Dreaming big is key, but making it tangible allows us to see results. And when we see results, we build the confidence and courage we need to keep on expanding our imagination for a better world. Gloria Steinem once said, "Without leaps of imagination or dreaming, we lose the excitement of possibilities." Dreaming, after all, is a form of planning. When my sister and I set out to make Bali plastic bag free, people said it was an impossible goal. But slowly we started. We built a team and momentum, and after each cleanup, we felt a success. After each government meeting, we felt a little closer to the goal. Every single signature we collected, donation we secured, event we spoke at, all of these tangible, small goals made us realize that change was at our fingertips. Last night, I won the BID Game Changer of the Year award. And now, if it comes out of my crisp bag, I wanted to show it to you. Here we go. So the BID Game Changer of the Year Award, and I proudly accepted this on behalf of the generation I'm a part of, because I strongly believe that we are those big dreamers I was talking about. But for all of you, I would like to share it with you as well, because we need everybody. So whichever skill it is, whichever one idea, one action, and one contact you have today, please, together, let's change the game. Thank you.
Nou, was dat inspirerend of niet? Dankjewel, Melati. One last question.
Yes.
So you grew up in Bali.
Yes.
Now you are here in the Netherlands.
I am. I'm in Amsterdam.
Exactly. Well, this is The Hague, right? You know
Yeah,
that.
yes,
Okay.
I know.
So,
I live in Amsterdam.
I know what you mean. My question is, what do you need most from us, from the Dutch?
Well, I think it's definitely this platform. Well, first of all, I would say with the book, I'm excited to go to all the classrooms and meet with educators, because I think, again, the potential of being in classrooms for workshops and all of that. But I also think there is something that I'd love to bring from back home is the exercise of thinking and dreaming big, staying positive, and instead of thinking in limitations, think in all the possibilities. It's an exciting time to be alive, where we feel a lot of the doom and gloom of maybe some of the world leaders that are, for example, taking positions, but there is hope, and we need to put as much focus and energy in the positivity as we do sometimes with the negativity.
Well, spread that among all the Dutch children.
I'll try.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Melati Wijsen.